All right, we are back talking thoroughbred horse racing on playbooksports.com Horse Report with Jon Hardoon. How's it going, John?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Good. This is it for 2021. How did 2021 compare to some of the other years? You have had many years of handicapping thoroughbred racing. So how does this compare?
It's all right. I mean, listen, no complaints. We're still surviving. We're still in the game, so
Yep.
That's good news.
That's right. That's a good way of putting it. And this is it for us as well here, of course, when we start in 2022. And I want to remind everybody, and even though most of our viewers should know by now that we are going to be changing to premium channels and packages and things of that nature, we promise we will not make the transition until we have one final show for free where we will explain everything. So that's still at least another week or two away. But we're really excited about that for 2022 because that's going to mean that we are going to up our game as far as content and even interviews. Can't wait to do that because I know you've got a lot of contacts within the industry, of course, and can't wait to start interviewing trainers and all sorts of personalities in the industry. So it's going to be a great year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, Greg. So hopefully we got a long career ahead of us doing this.
And even though we've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, we've been warming up to this for 5 or 6 years. It's taken a lot longer than we wanted to warm up to it, but we're finally here. Okay, Santa Anita Park. And by the way, last week, of course, the weather screwed everything up for us, and we hope it's not going to happen because we're going back to Santa Anita today. Because the weather is perfectly fine today. It's going to be perfectly fine tomorrow when they race. So hopefully having 36 plus hours of good weather will not force them to take the turf races that we're going to handicap today off the turf. So
exactly.
But it happened last week, and obviously that kind of ruined all of our picks because we did not handicap for dirt racing. So
well, people tuning in should know that when we give out turf races, they're meant for the turf. Obviously, if they come off the turf, even if our selections win, we don't take credit for it, and that's it. So you rip up what you heard, or you erase what we told you, and you wait for the next week.
But here's one of the good things about our new programming is that if there's weather and it interferes in our handicapping and our racing, we are going to come back at some point. Could be a show, could be a 5-minute report just to give you updated picks. But we promise you, if weather interferes with our picks, starting with our new programming, we are going to come back and let you know what our new analysis is for the racing off of the turf or any other circumstance that weather interrupts.
Right. We'll update even if they're late scratches or whatever.
Exactly. Yes. So anything that it totally screws up our handicapping, we'll come back and let you know about it. So that's part of the good stuff that's coming up soon. Let's talk about race 6, first of all, at Santa Anita. And this is, a couple of things here. It says 6.5 furlongs, hillside turf. First of all, what's hillside turf mean?
They start up the hill and they cross over the dirt. Now, here's the problem.
They cross over the... Oh, okay. I remember that. Okay. All right.
Right. And they stopped running that race for a few years because the horse broke down. So, when Peter goes after you, they buckled to Peter. But this year, the hillside turf course is back. However, if it rains at all, they will still run 6.5 furlongs, but they'll start it on the backstretch as opposed to coming down the hill. It's still the same distance. It's just a different way of running it. Instead of running down the hill, it's a flat oval around. It's like a 6 furlong race. They would start on the backstretch and come around the track.
Okay.
So they don't cross over the dirt or anything.
And is that why, it says that, and then and again, I'm talking about the daily racing form. Then it says downhill for 4-year-olds and upwards. So why make that distinction when you just said hillside turf, or they just said hillside turf?
Hillside and downhill is the same thing. It's just a different way to describe it.
Okay.
But it's the same course. If people that are going to watch for the first time, they'll see that they start up and they come down a hill, cross over the dirt, and then run in the stretch. It's a great race. It's a fun race. People loved it. And again, they did away with it for a few years, but now they're back. And I love that. I love those races because I have an edge, and there's an angle I use. Horses that cut back in distance have a big edge.
Okay.
in those races.
Well, maybe that we'll find out about that on this show.
Just a little handicapping note for people to keep in mind.
Yes. Okay, so again, 6.5 furlongs. Now, this is the Grade 2 Joe Hernandez Stakes. The purse is $250, 4-year-olds and up. We'd start with the race favorite, Beer Can Man. This is Flavorian Pratt on board. The thing we don't like about the sheets on this horse is ran an 8, which was a career best in August. Since then, back-to-back 13s.
Yeah, well, I don't like this horse at all, and hopefully he's really the favorite because this horse wouldn't be on a ticket of mine. He ran that 8, 3 starts back when going back on Lasix. Then 2 starts back, he didn't have the Lasix, and he was bouncing off the 8. However, the problem with this horse is his last race, he was back on Lasix, and he only ran a 13. He should have run better than the 13 due to the fact that he had the 8 3 races back. I don't like this horse. Not only that, the 8 that he ran 3 races back was at Del Mar at 5 furlongs. This is 6.5 furlongs, completely different race.
Yeah, so far the horse 0 for 1 as far as wins at 6.5 furlongs. Also, no wins in 2 starts at Santa Anita. And this, again, the main thing is this is the race favorite. All right, next up is the 2. Now, when you have a horse like Bran, who has never... We don't have any sheets on this horse. This is a French horse, so makes it over here to the U.S. for the very first time. How do you, what statistics do you have, or maybe it's just your memory where you go, yeah, this is just no way I touch any of these horses?
Well, usually we would make numbers on these horses. We started making European numbers. There's no numbers on this horse. The problem with this horse is I guess he's 4 tomorrow. Every horse, by the way, celebrates their birthday tonight at midnight. They all become a year older.
Are they going to be able to race? They're going to be hungover?
No, they're not going out partying.
Okay.
They're staying in the stall and going to sleep early.
Okay.
You watch the board, you see if they take money. Sadler's a terrific trainer. And, he trains that horse Flightline that I told everybody to watch last week. I don't know if you watched it, Greg.
Yeah. What was the sheet number?
A -1. One of the fastest numbers ever. So he ran 4.21.
4.2 -1.
Yeah, so that's the same trainer that trains this horse. I don't think this is Flightline, but I don't think this horse is right for this spot. Just my opinion.
Okay. But again, history, when you've encountered these types of horses in these situations.
You watch the board. You hope we have numbers on them because we do numbers on most of them. For some reason, there is no numbers on this horse.
And in that case, have you ever taken a horse when you've never seen any numbers?
Not unless he was heavily bet at the windows. I would respect the money if this trainer took money at the window.
Next up is the 3 Chewing Gum at 5-1. And Chewing Gum is going to be Jon's top selection of the race. The one thing I did notice myself, which is the reason that I did not make this my top horse, was that Chewing Gum ran a 6 and a 7 last year and has not returned to that 6 or 7, even though we see some 10s and some 11s. So this is definitely a contender. But why are you going with this horse as your top choice at 5-1?
I'm going with him as my top choice because he's 5-1. He's as good or better than anything else we've seen in the race. And I like horses shipping east to west on the turf.
Okay.
The East Coast shippers, when you ship east to west on the turf, it's a lot better than shipping west to east on the turf because the turf course in California is usually hard as a rock. However, they had all that rain over the last 3 days. They had over 4 inches of rain. This horse has the 7 last year, and that was at a distance of 7 furlongs. Other than that, for the most part, he's been sprinting. His one distance race last year had big trouble at the start. I just have a feeling. It's just a feeling that he's going to run the 10 or better. He may not, but I think he's primed to do it. I like the price, and I like Rispoli. He's going to fit this horse like a glove. He comes from out of the clouds, and I think that's going to be to his advantage.
All right, there you go. The 3, Chewing Gum. The 4 is another horse that will be in your exotics, Delaware, a 6-1 shot with your favorite rider, Mike Smith, on board. This is, by the way, another East Coast horse shipping out west. But I have noticed that this horse has been a little inconsistent, kind of up and down with the sheets, coming off a 13 last time, but before that, an 8. Matter of fact, this horse has 2 8s in the last 4 races.
Yeah, there's good news and bad news about the horse. The good news is he's 6-1. The good news is that he has 2 8s out of his last 4 races. The bad news is those races were for Chad Brown, and tomorrow he's running for Paddy Gallagher. So to me, that's somewhat of a negative trainer change. Obviously, Paddy Gallagher's okay, but he's no Chad Brown. But I like him off of the 8s, and again, those were distance races, and I told you I like horses cutting back in distance, coming down the hill. That's an important angle to me, and the price. So for that reason, I'm using him in the exactas.
Okay, so again, that's the 4 Delaware, a 6-1 shot. Gallagher taking over for Chad Brown for the first time. Next up is going to be my top selection, and that is the 5 Commander. And Commander, the only knock on Commander are the odds at 3-1. Maybe there's some symmetry here because Jon Hernandez will be riding Commander in the Joe Hernandez Stakes. So I'm all over that. But anyway, Commander has 3 10s in 2021 and is my top pick. And I also like the fact that the horse has success at Santa Anita, success at this distance, and compared to a lot of the horses in this field, that's as good as you're going to get. So I'm going with Commander. Unfortunately, the horse is 3-1.
Well, there's a few things I don't like about him. Listen, what you say is all true, but what I don't like about him is he's coming off of Lasix.
Okay.
And he's 3-1. He's not faster than Chewing Gum. He's not faster than Delaware, but he's half the price of those horses.
New trainer too.
Yeah, well, it's not really. Peter Miller retired.
Oh, that's that Peter Miller thing. I gotta keep remembering that whenever it's a Peter Miller horse.
Right.
It's different. Okay.
He took a little sabbatical for a while, so for whatever reason.
And is that always going to be Alvarado when it's not Peter Miller?
In Southern California, at Oaklawn, it's Rene Amuska. There are different trainers at different tracks that have taken over, but majority of the horses have gone to Ruben Alvarado.
Okay. All right. Next up is the 6 Momos, a 4-1 shot. And Momos, sort of like the 7 Cupid's Claws, both horses seem to have better races on dirt than turf. Starting with Momos, best race was a couple of starts ago with a 9. What you like about Momos is the last 3 races are 10, 9, 10. So that's pretty good. But again, Momos seems to do better on the dirt.
Another shipper shipping in from the East Coast. This horse the problem with him is the 6.5 furlongs. Most of his races are all shorter, 5 furlong races. So for that reason, and again, he's 4-1. There's no value. I'm looking for price.
Yeah. The only good thing that I noticed too is that not only does the horse have 10, 9, 10, but the 10, 9, 10 came after the trainer change. And those are the best 3 races of the horse's career. So keep an eye on Momos at 4-1. But again, Momos has never won on turf. Okay, next up is the 7 Cupid's Claws at 8-1. And this is a horse based on the odds, I'm assuming. You like the odds. You're going to put Cupid's Claws into your exotics. He's about to turn 8, so he's going to be pretty old when he laces them up on Saturday. But this horse is, if you take a look at the sheet line here, you're talking about this season, you got a 5, you have an 8, you have some 10s. So that's as good as any other horse in this field. But again, a lot of those are on synthetic or dirt.
And he's the longest shot in the race. He has a 10 on turf, 4 races back. He had an 11 last time out. The horses that we were talking about, the 5 and 6, they're half the price or less, and they're not faster. And this, again, fits my category of cutting back in distance. So that's why I came up with the horses I came up with. I like 3, 4, 7. I actually may even consider opening up with an exacta box because they are the 3 longest shots in the race. I'm throwing out the 3 favorites, the 1 who's 5-2, the 5 who's 3-1, and the 6 who's 4-1.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those races that you can see the favorites not in the money and a big payoff happen.
it's a 7-horse field.
Yes.
Okay, if I'm using the 3 longest shots, I guess I would open up with the box, and then I'd come back and key the 3 with the 4 and 7.
Okay. Well, we'll see if those odds remain pretty similar tomorrow. If there are a lot of changes, that could change things up, but hopefully that's not the case as far as your selections are concerned. Let's now move over to the 8th race at Santa Anita. Now, this is a lot further distance, a mile and an eighth. Again, on turf, the Grade 3 Robert J. Frankel Stakes. It's a Grade 3 purse of $100,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. We'll start with the 1, who seems to be getting older and slower. That's Boda Chica. I think we've talked about Boda Chica a few times on this program in different races. Actually does the best racing at Santa Anita. But again, if you take a look at the sheets, they're going the opposite direction, especially for a horse that is about to turn 7.
Yeah, I don't want this horse. He's tailing off. He's 8-1. He could make a forward move, but even if he makes the forward move, I don't think it's good enough.
Let's go with the 2. Now, the 2 is the defending champ of the race, Mucho Unusual. The only thing that I noticed, though, that concerns me is that this year, until the 9, which came the very last race in October, you had 14, 11, 12. That's a lot slower than we've seen this horse run over a year or so. So, and the fact that the horse is the favorite at 5-2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has the 9. He has a bunch of 9s last year. The good news is that he finally ran a 9 last time out.
Yes.
But so he has a shot to repeat it. He's put 9s together in the past, and for that reason, I had him opened.
Okay, next up is the 3, England's Rose, a 5-1 shot. Now, England's Rose, like the fact that over the last 3 races, we see 13, 11, 10. So this is the best 3-race stretch of England Rose's short 8-race career at 6 years old. But maybe this horse is peaking. And who knows and who cares when the horse decides to peak. But maybe that's the case as far as the sheet lines are concerned, and the horse is 5-1.
Well, that's why this was my top horse, because he's 5-1. For that very reason, I like this horse the best. Either one of his last 2 races will probably be good enough to win here. So for that reason, I ended up on this horse.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do an exacta myself with the horse. Okay. England's Rose, 5-1 shot. Next up is the 4, and that is Moratz, a 6-1 shot. This horse seems to be a little bit too slow, though, after beginning the year with a 10 in January. The best that the horse has come up after that is a 13.
Yeah, and he's coming off a Lasix also, and he's not long enough. He's slow.
Yep.
He is.
The 5 has been slow this year, and that's Sloane Garden at 12-1. We did see an 11 in April, but since then, 15, 18, and 14.
No good.
The 6 is Global Brand, another horse that's just way too slow. What's this horse doing at 6-1?
And he's coming off a Lasix. The train has been on fire. That's the only excuse I could give for him being bet. But I don't want any part of this horse at that price.
Not only is this horse slow, but he's got 1 win on turf out of 13. Okay? And then 7 is my top pick. It happens to be the race favorite. I don't like doing that much, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put the exacta in, too, with the 7 and the 3. But Luck actually has beaten English Rose a couple of times, so I'll take that one, too, and maybe even have the 3 over the 7 to make more money here. But I like this horse. Pratt. Did Pratt have to choose, by the way, between this horse and the 2?
No.
Because he was on board the 2 the last couple of starts.
I guess he chose, and that's what he chose.
Okay, because I don't know if that's a trainer. Sometimes it's a favorite, like the trainer has.
No, but when you're dealing with Pratt, who's the best rider in California,
he makes the decision.
He gets to make the call.
Okay, so yeah, 10, 10, and 10. Those are the sheet lines in the 3 races in the U.S.
Okay, but he's 8-5. The 3 has 10 in his last race, and he's 5-1.
And that's why I'm gonna. That's why I'm doing the exacta 7-3.
Okay, I like 3 over 2 and 7, and obviously I would reverse them.
3 over 2, 7. And what do we got going on next week, John? We still have a lot of Santa Anita races?
They have Gulfstream, they have Santa Anita, they have Aqueduct, they have Oaklawn. We'll find a race.
All right, I'll take a look at it. John, appreciate it as always.
Happy New Year,
have a
Greg,
great
to all the listeners as well. Thank you.
Yes, and thanks a lot for 2021, John. Appreciate it as always. Can't wait for 2022 to start.
Okay, buddy. Stay safe and be well. Thank you.
Take care. All right, that's Jon Hardoon. By the way, the reason I am going to hold off on closing the show is I just want to take a look at the racing. I should have done before we started, but as far as next week, just to see what we're going to be going at for 2022. So next week, that'll be races probably run on the 8th. We have a grade 2 race at Santa Anita and a grade 3 at Gulfstream Park. So we only have 2 graded stakes races. So fingers crossed that there'll be good races there for us to handicap. There's also a stakes race at Aqueduct, and not a lot of horse races to pick from on the 8th. And since we're here, let's see the month ahead. There's some decent races, some stakes races at Santa Anita on the 15th. I don't see any graded stakes races on the 15th though, but looks like there's enough stakes races there to choose from. And there's also this. Oh, you got the Sunshine Millions at Gulfstream Park, so that's pretty good. The 22nd, we have. Let's see. We got a couple of graded stakes races, but that's the fairgrounds. We don't do the fairgrounds very often. And then a couple of with the Sunshine Millions again at Gulfstream. And then to close out the month on the 29th, we have a huge Saturday, January 29th at Gulfstream Park. That's when you have a whole bunch of graded stakes races, including the Pegasus World Cup. And then we also have several graded stakes races at Santa Anita. I wish they would spread these around. And wouldn't that be better for us if they'd spread them around? Because we only handicap 2 races a week here on the show. And if they would spread these around, we could have them, on these other shows. The 29th is where all the action is. They got looks like they got 10 stakes races: Aqueduct, Gulfstream Park, and Santa Anita. So, but it is what it is. All right. So again, we will be back next week for sure. Maybe that our goal is production-wise to be done next week, meaning that I would bank on next week's show being the last show before we go behind the paywall. But keep in mind, going behind the paywall is going to be as inexpensive, and I'm just guessing here, but probably going to be as inexpensive as about $5 a month. So it's not very expensive. But the higher you go in the packages that we're going to have, the better that the more that you're going to be able to take advantage of. Because like I said, we're going to have more than this on these shows, these premium package shows. So that's where you'll find, say, the interviews that we'll start to conduct. John is going to do a monthly Q&A, so that's going to be cool. That means you're going to be able to ask John anything you want, and you can ask questions all you want, more than one. So we'll have that, and we have so many other things that we have planned on, and those will be more expensive packages. But everybody that pays for any of the packages, when we go behind the paywall, the guesstimation right now is, before I finalize everything, is that simple as $5 a month, and you'll be able to watch everything behind the paywall regarding the regular programming. It's only the special programming, which we've mostly never done before. All the new stuff, that'll be more expensive, and it'll be up to you whether or not you want to pay for that. And we will over the first few weeks and the first few months, we'll edit out some of the new programming for anybody that hasn't seen it and they're interested. I wonder what it's about. So we'll give you some clips so you can see exactly what it is that you're missing behind those certain packages. So it's just a lot of work, which is why the channel's been really kind of slowed over the past few weeks, because I've just been spending all of my time on getting the new channel, the 2022 version, up and running the way we want it to. That's why we have a new mascot. See, I have to come up with a name. I haven't come up with a name yet. So part of the premium packages is you'll get an opportunity to name our mascot. So we're gonna get a name for him, and then we're gonna have some cool trailer channel videos. We'll have some new intro videos for all of our shows. So we have so many other things that we have planned. It's gonna be awesome. I just can't wait. Anyway, thanks for checking in with us once again. Fingers crossed that the races will be on turf, and best of luck, especially if you're checking out college football playoffs, which are starting in just a couple of minutes as I'm airing the show. And we'll see you again next week right here on the PlaybookSports.com Horse Report with Jon Hardoon from the Sheets.